American Hearts Radio presents, live from Atlanta, Georgia, Hollywood South, with host Dan Glazer.
Welcome to Hollywood South. Sorry about that previous malfunction. Our owner of the studio and the director has a multiple personality and dementia. How you doing, Al?
Well, man, how's it going?
Fine. Did you see the Academy Awards?
No.
I did. I was there.
Were you?
Yes, I work for PricewaterhouseCoopers. I handed the wrong card to Warren Beatty. Happen to say I no longer work for PricewaterhouseCoopers. So anyway, this is our second Hollywood South show. We have a big show planned, and briefly, I want to call a young man. He's actually a comedian that's running an online comedy show called the No Strings Attached E-News Online Comedy Show. And my luck, when I call him, he'll probably be in the bathroom.
Hello.
Oh, you're not? Are you in the bathroom? Are you dressed, Brian?
Yeah.
Are you dressed?
Hey, what's up?
Okay. Like my old girlfriend said, nothing, that's the problem. Brian, tell us about this new... How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing great.
This
How
is
are you
Brian T Shirley, a very famous touring comedian, but right now we're going to talk about something he started called No Strings Attached E-New Online International Film Festival. Walk us into it, and then we'll see the video.
Well, it's a magazine that's online called No Strings Attached E-News. I've been contributing, and Mike Aloia has been contributing, the CEO of American Hearts Radio, and some of the other folks in our little circle. And I thought, why don't we try to drive some more traffic to this great magazine, and came up with an idea that the owner had actually thought of a couple of years ago, Beatrice, and that was to do an online film festival. So this is the first one we're doing. It's going to be international because we're going to take foreign films too. We're doing long, short, web series, and all genres. And we're just doing it to get traffic to that great magazine, but also expose if we have independent folks out there or mainstream, it doesn't matter. We're wanting all films, all ilk, and we don't restrict, like, you know, if it was made 5 years ago or 10 years ago, bring it on. We don't care. We want to make this something for everybody, and then the public is really going to pick the top films.
Hey, you know, Brian, this is only a 30-minute show. Just kidding. Do you have any applicants yet? Do you have any applicants?
I'm sorry.
Do you have any movie independent applicants?
We have not started the submission process yet. This is a teaser film that you're going to show.
Okay.
It kind of announces the festival, and then we'll start taking submission. We're doing another board meeting here Thursday, so hopefully soon we'll come out with submissions. But right now we just want to get people excited about it, get the information out that we're doing it, and people go check out the site, and we're going to have the film festival part of it up soon. It looks great, but we haven't put it out to the public yet.
Hey, Brian, you know, this is my show. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I know.
Just joking. Just joking. Hey, Brian, thank you so much, and we'll go ahead and show the clip.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. That's a great show you're doing.
Okay, talk to you later. Okay, bye. So let's go ahead and show the clip.
Welcome to No Strings Attached E-News Magazine Online News. I'm your correspondent, Brian T Shirley.
And I'm Vanessa Hunley, and here we are with exciting news today.
That's right, Vanessa. No Strings Attached E-News Magazine is announcing its online International Film Festival. What are those divisions, Vanessa?
4 exciting divisions. We have long film category, which is films that are 60 minutes or more. We have our short film category, which are full-length films that are 60 minutes or less. We also have animated section and, of course, web series.
That's right. And the genres are
Stay tuned to No Strings Attached E-News Online Magazine for the latest developments.
Or you can follow our partner sites.
Okay, so that we'll keep you posted on No Strings Attached E-New Online International Film Festival. So right now I welcome to the stage a young man and his brother, Mr. Gordon Danniels, a musician and actor, and his musician brother, Fred Forsh. Okay, and you play music together. And right now we want to talk to Gordon very briefly here about his career. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to be back, Dan.
Hollywood South.
Thank you, sir.
So reason we were having Gordon on, he's going to be in an upcoming show, House of Cards. Right?
Yeah. I have no idea when it's aired, but all I know is it's episode 503. 503. And shot it back in September.
And so what is your part in that show?
Well, I play a Vietnam veteran, and there's this character that's running for president against Kevin Spacey's character. And there's an incident that happened in Vietnam that I'm trying to get some answers on, and I think this could probably affect his chances to be president.
So this is a pretty big part.
Well, for me it is, yeah. But the good thing about it is a good friend of mine, David Silverman, another actor from Atlanta, is also in the same episode, and he's part of that experience that happened in Vietnam, too.
Well, we need to get him on the show. You think he'd come on?
If I can find him.
Oh, okay.
He's a very busy person.
I don't think I know that name.
Yeah.
Now, you've been in many other... You're currently in Fist Fight that's in theaters now.
Yes.
With Ice Cube. And some very big stars in that movie.
Tracy Morgan.
Yeah, Tracy Morgan. Who else?
Dennis Haysbert, Charlie Day, Jillian Bell, and...
the redheaded girl. I can't
think from Mad Men.
Mad Men, yeah. And what is your part in the movie?
I play Irv. I'm a disgruntled... No, let's make that what it really is. I'm a very angry school teacher, math teacher, who lost his job because of budget cuts.
Right.
And I'm not happy about it at all.
So that's in theaters right now.
It is, yes.
But you've been in a lot more of that. You've been in Game of Your Life, 2011, The Supernatural, Drop Dead Diva. Were you on Drop Dead Diva several times?
Just once.
Just once. Yeah. Hall Pass, Epidemic, The People versus Leo Frank, Mississippi Dam, The Great Debaters, and Deadly Run, one of your most famous movies.
Thank you, Dan.
Tell us briefly about that. He didn't want me to mention this movie, Deadly Run, and there's a reason. Tell me why.
Yeah, well, Dan and he just broke a wonderful friendship here. Now, Deadly Run was an independent film, but the really interesting thing about it, we didn't know it at the time, that the guy who was the consultant, because it's about a serial killer.
Right.
And the guy who was the consultant on this movie, turns out he was a real serial killer.
How did they find out later on the news?
We found out later on the news. We didn't, the production company had no idea about that way back then.
But how did he get the job?
He was an ex-Marine, and he knew a lot of things about weapons and how to survive in the jungle and stuff like that. This was close to the time during the Olympics when, what's his name, Eric was the guy who bombed.
Yes.
He was hiding in the woods and stuff like that. So.
Wow. Oh, that's interesting. And then you were in Heat of the Night, and you knew Carol. You knew Carol Connor.
I did about 5 episodes of that one.
Yeah, see, that's a good thing about they use a lot of local talent repeatedly in the shows here. And he was a nice fellow.
He is a very nice man, and I had fun doing it. But I got to tell you, when I was doing it, I was sitting. I said to myself, "Self, how did you get here? This is Archie Bunker." And the last episode I did was directed by Larry Hagman. So I'm thinking,
oh really?
Yeah. I said to myself, if anybody had told me growing up in the beautiful town of Canton, Georgia, that one day I'd work with James Garner and Larry Hagman, I would have said, yeah, sure.
Was he a nice fellow? I always liked Dream of Jeannie.
Larry Hagman was funny. The first day on the set, he came in and he made this announcement. He said, "Okay, everybody, we don't have time for a bunch of junk here. We're going to be serious." And I'm like, "Ooh, this man." And he said, "We're not going to have any clowning around." Then he took out a clown horn and got, waka, waka, waka.
That's fun. That's fun. Okay, so what we want to do is take it to some video. What do you call this? Is your promo piece?
Yeah, this is sort of like my video, my DVD resume.
Okay, let's do that.
And my agents and stuff send us out sometime to casting agents.
Very good.
What the hell is he doing? He's got back spasms.
Not him. Him.
Gary!
Hey, I knew when you thought of that application thing and you thought of, what was it now?
Mechanics, Stanley.
Right, yeah, mechanics. Such a shame somebody else beat you to market.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes sometimes, right?
But it was a right good idea, though. Troubleshoot your car from your phone. Well, I knew when you did that you were going places, and now you are.
At about 3 a.m., when he made a grisly discovery.
What's up, Charles?
I'm afraid I've got some bad news for you, Roger. You are hereby summoned and required to file with the clerk of said court appropriate defensive pleadings to the complaint which is served upon you.
What the hell that's supposed to mean?
Mr. Pinckney, don't mess with the test.
I've used this man before. He's real good.
On the night of the 13th, were you stopped by Sergeant Sweet of the Sparta Police Department?
Yes, I was.
Hey, young brother. Come on, buy a watch.
Oh, no.
This watch. Imagine. Dr. King himself gave me this watch when I was a young boy about your age.
What do you mean you set him up with my daughter? She's as much my niece as she is your daughter.
You are quite the good actor.
Well, thank you.
You really
appreciate
are.
it.
You really are quite the good actor.
I'm working on it.
And you've been acting since a child? You were a child?
Yeah, well, I like to tell people that from the day I was born, I started acting because I started acting like a human being. And,
right.
So, and I like to make people laugh, too.
Very, very good. You are funny.
Yeah, the doctor laughed when he said, look at this, everybody.
That was funny. I'd like to see that. Now, we want to brief. Now, we bought Fred on if we want to talk about your album.
Brother Fred, yes.
Yeah, because primarily, are you a musician first and an actor, or an actor first and a musician?
I think more of myself as an actor, but I do love music.
He's got a great voice.
Yeah.
So tell us, Fred, tell us about this. You both tell us about this. It's called Teakwood, A Distant Star.
I'll let Fred do most of the talking, but he was one of the original members of this.
And this is available now online or in stores?
Yes.
Okay, so what kind of music is it?
I guess you would call it pop, soul, with a little bit of jazz flavoring.
Okay.
This group, we started in 1972 at Berry College.
Berry College, yeah.
Yes, and we went through the 70s, and toward the end, well, the mid-70s, 76, we did our first single. We thought we signed a recording contract, but we actually paid money to get, anyhow, go on. So, no, really, we had 500 copies, actually 1,000. And 500 were available to the public, and somehow later we found out that it became a collector's item. This album we recorded in 1977.
This one here?
Yes.
And it's being re-released?
Well, it's never been released.
I thought this was a re-release.
No, it was. That's
so it's now being released on this show?
Yes. It was never released at all. We negotiated with Bang Records. They turned us down. ABC, Danniels, they turned us down. And after that, we so much.
So where can they get this Teakwood?
Yeah, they can get it almost anywhere you can download it.
Okay. Is it on Amazon?
Amazon.
Okay. It's called Teakwood, A Distant Star. And they were going to sing, but your throat's a little off right now.
I'm so sorry.
Okay. So very good. What we're going to do is I'm going to bring another guest on. And next time you'll come back on, so you'll play again, because you played on Comics on Parole.
Right.
And you were very good. So, and you played with Jerry Farber a lot at the Red Light Cafe.
At the Red Light Cafe,
very good.
And we did a thing at the Cosmopolitan New Year's Eve.
I was there.
Yeah, that's right. I
was there. Yeah. So I'm going to have you back on in a minute. Okay. So right now we're going to have a gentleman on.
Okay, Dan.
And very good. Very good. Very good. Thank you, Fred. So right now I want to briefly introduce a young man coming to the stage. His name is Mr. John Caravella. Don't be shy, John. Come on up. This is going to be a brief interview. The reason I'm introducing John Caravella, there's a picture of Johnny Fever I'd like you to pop up from WKRP. Johnny Fever was a actor on WKRP in Cincinnati, and his character's name was John Caravella. So you knew the real Johnny Fever.
I met Bobby Harper.
And worked here in Atlanta.
He worked at WQXI, Quixie and Dixie.
Didn't he have a nickname, though?
Skinny Bobby Harper.
Okay. And it wasn't and so his character name was John Caravella. So tell us how you think it came out they named him John Caravella.
Well, the creator of WKRP in Cincinnati was Hugh Wilson. And Hugh was an account executive at Quixie and Dixie at
Right.
WQXI back in the 60s,
right,
when Bobby Harper was the morning personality.
Right.
Hugh went on to go into the advertising agency business and was the president of an ad agency, Burton, Campbell, and Kelly, here in Atlanta. And I was one of the managers of the Columbia School of Broadcasting,
Right.
which was across the hall from Burton, Campbell, and Kelly on Peachtree Road.
Right, I remember it. I've been in there.
And obviously, we got to know each other. We got to know a lot of the copywriters, and we got to know you and the managing partners because we saw him every day. And he left the ad agency, went on to California, created WKRP for MTM Productions, and lo and behold, the premiere episode in September of 1978. Howard Hessman, the actor who played Dr. Johnny Fever, introduced himself to the show, obviously, and he introduced himself with his real name, said, "Hi, I'm John Caravella."
And you had no idea he was going to do that?
I had no idea. My phone didn't stop ringing for about 6 months.
That's funny.
Yeah.
The guy really must have liked you, or just liked the name.
Well, we got along.
It does flow well. John Caravella. It just kind of flows off the tongue, doesn't it? Very good.
I think so.
Very good. But that's very interesting. So I just wanted to get that. Now, Dennis Aloia, who used to have a show on this network, said, "Dan, you got to have the real Johnny Fever on." So I found out, meeting Waffle, it's not the real Johnny Fever, but is the real Johnny Fever's name that's on the show. So that was enough to have you on. Anything else you'd like to say?
Glad to be here.
Very good. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, John. Okay. Gordon, step back up here to the stage, please. Okay, so I'd like to have a serious moment here. Back when I was young, I was 27 years old. I'm 59 now. I had a friend who was a casting agent. I was never an actor, never professed to be an actor, but they needed a person for a movie. The movie probably was the worst movie ever made in the history of moviedom. It was called Evil in the Woods. It never premiered. I think they sold the video in Europe. They did sell the video in Europe. No one ever got paid. Mostly me didn't get paid. But it was an interesting experience. And I had the whole movie on a videotape, but I found the preview on YouTube. So what I would like to do is, now this is a 10-minute clip, but this is my only opportunity to get to show it to an audience. So I'm going to take this opportunity. And after this clip, it's 10 minutes, I'm in a few segments in about 6 minutes in, and then I'm in the last segment, and you'll see it. I think you'll enjoy this clip, and then I'll ask what you think of this movie. So go ahead. Let's play it out.
Hello, everybody. This is MD Thornton 83, and welcome to my first film review. Let me talk to you about a movie so bad, a movie so shit, and a movie that is an embarrassment to humanity and deserves to be in obscurity. The movie I am talking about is, of course, Evil in the Woods. Now, there has not been many reviews for Evil in the Woods in the past, but since this one is rather rare and obscure, that should come as no surprise. Now, for those of you who have never seen this movie before in your lives and are curious to know what it's about, allow me to clue you in. Wandering through the streets of Atlanta, Georgia with no parent or guardian whatsoever, a young boy named Billy Haynes journeys his way into a local library, where he checks out a book titled Evil in the Woods. The librarian tells the boy that the book is due back on Friday the 13th. Returning home, Billy starts reading through the first few pages of the book. And as he gets into the first few pages, the story is then visualized to the audience with a narrator with a highly annoying hunky-dory goofball southern accent.
Georgia, where pure evil has reigned for 3,000 years.
The story then takes us back to 1956 in the town of Mildew, Georgia, where a film studio called Shadow Productions begins shooting a movie in the making. But as they venture out into the woods, strange things happen and they come across a variety of all the horror cliches, ranging from aliens, Bigfoots, werewolves, cannibals, and evil witches, all which seem to have been randomly placed in this movie for no particular reason. Okay, now, first of all, I want to start by saying that I really don't have many positive things to say about this movie. But for as much as I don't want to review this, I might as well take this time to get it off my chest. Now, it's worth mentioning that I did not see this movie back when it first came out, In fact, I didn't even know about this movie until just recently when I was browsing through YouTube in my hopes of finding something new to get into. And so I stumbled across this one video titled Evil in the Woods, which of course is the name of the movie itself. Now, judging by the title, you'd expect this to be a horror movie of sorts. However, Evil in the Woods isn't quite what it is. In fact, it turned out being nothing more than a miserable, wretched, steaming sack of shit. And I mean that literally. This movie totally feels its age. But in fact, this movie feels way older than its age. Like about 100 years older. The story makes absolutely no sense, the acting is pathetic, the editing is horrendously amateur, and there is no focus or consistency whatsoever. In fact, this movie is so bad, so horrendous, and so uncreative that it seems like it was written by a 3-year-old or by someone with an extreme case of ADD. While this was probably intended to be more of a comedy or a spoof, there's relatively little humor to be found in this movie. In fact, nothing about this movie makes any sense. And everything that happens is at pure random. There's no rhyme or reason to anything that happens from beginning to end. And if you have the courage and the will to sit through the whole movie, which sadly I had to, you'll be scratching your head in confusion and disbelief at how unbelievably retarded this movie really is. This movie has puzzled me to the point of leaving me with so many unanswered questions. The first question I asked was, what the hell was a kid doing wandering the streets all by himself? He looks awfully young to be walking around the city without his parents or any kind of adult supervision, especially when there could be child molesters out there. Seriously, what were they thinking? Were they on crack when they wrote this script or something? The second question I asked is, what is up with that annoying-ass narrator? And why does he speak with a southern accent?
While our happy campers settle in, Barbara serves a gourmet breakfast as wee Billy explores the nasty, nasty woods.
Don't get me wrong, people. I have nothing against people with southern accents, but this is supposed to be a horror movie, right? And having a narrator with a hunky-dory southern accent just doesn't make any sense. And nor does it fit the atmosphere of a film of this category. I mean, the whole point of a horror film is that it's supposed to be scary or suspenseful. But there is nothing scary, suspenseful, or engaging about this film at all. And that narrator doesn't help much either.
Unaware of the hour, a time of day when darkness falls on the land and all forest folk find their way home, our little explorer is persuaded by his new friends to come over and play.
Yeah, just go with it. Another thing that annoyed the shit out of me is that the narrator goes on and on about some evil that has ruled the land for 3,030 years or some shit like that.
Shadow Productions, the ultimate in modern movie technology, is about to encounter an evil 3,030 years old.
And due to how many times the word evil is used in this movie, you'd think that it would be some kind of entity or some kind of diabolical force. But in my point of view, the evil is essentially the sloppy mess that is this movie. And do you want to know what I found interesting? This movie was released in 1986. That was the year that saw the releases of Top Gun, Platoon, Flight of the Navigator, American Tail, Short Circuit, and the original Transformers movie. In fact, 1986 was a big year for movies, especially for lots of great classic movies that are still remembered today. Not that any other time didn't have its fair share of memorable films, of course, but Evil in the Woods is one of the few 80s films I know of that's actually that bad. I know that every point in time has had its ups and downs, and I admit that even the 80s had its fair share of goods, bads, and in-betweens. But Evil in the Woods is beyond any doubt one of the worst movies I have ever seen. Had I seen this when I was a kid, I bet I'd be pretty lost and confused. Because even as a child, I knew what focus and consistency was. And this movie doesn't have either of those. Hell, I don't think I would even have the strength to sit through the whole thing. If you don't believe me on how bad this is, you'd have to actually watch the movie for yourself to get what I mean. But trust me, people, if you're a die-hard moviegoer who's expecting a detailed and in-depth plot and story with relatable characters and some consistency, then you're not going to find any of that here. I'm warning you, all you're gonna get is a complete mess that makes absolutely no sense, has bad writing, poor acting, and horrendous editing, has no focus or consistency at all. We see the actors playing out fake scenes that vary from monster attacks, to cheap-ass romance scenes, to a shitload of other crap that I can't even keep track of. All which is accompanied by the crappy editing. I mean, hell, you'd think that this movie is a compilation of blooper reels. And this persists all the way until we see them camping at night. Now, get ready, because now I'm gonna go over what really annoyed the shit out of me. The second half of the movie focuses, yeah, I said focus, on the production team as they journey into the woods where they'll start shooting their latest movie. But while that's going on, they discuss some random shit which again has nothing to do with the story. Not to mention it was very poorly written and poorly executed by the actors themselves. Because again, the acting is just awful. And from there, we get even more random scenes that range from cannibals eating people, to werewolves attacking their victims, to aliens coming down to Earth in their flying saucers, to witches and their spells, and a whole bunch of other random shit that has no meaning or rhythm. In fact, how many times have I said random? Because I honestly can't keep track of how many times I've used that word, and nor could I keep up with how inconsistent this movie really is. Because as I was halfway through the film, I eventually started thinking to myself, what is going on here? Because every scene in this movie seems to have been rushed with little to no development at all, and it seemed like they were trying to stitch 3 or 4 movies together in one, which makes the experience even more irritating and aggravating. Hell, this movie is so bad it makes the Titanic films look like a masterpiece. I guess there's no point in spoiling the ending, since none of you who are reading this review are ever going to want to see this miserable, wretched catastrophe of a movie. But if you're interested to know what happens at the end, then allow me the honors. After reading through the entire book, Billy's parents come into his room to tell him some good news. However, the kid just rests in his bed completely motionless and apparently dozed off. When his parents see what Billy was reading, the boy turns into a hideous mutated monstrosity, the door to his closet opens up to reveal a decomposed corpse, his parents freak out, and the last thing we see before the closing credits is the poster image on the wall for the band Iron Maiden. The end! So there you have it. That's my review on Evil in the Woods. And after watching this review, you may or may not be interested in watching such a movie. But I can assure you...
Okay, so that was me in the end, by the way, where my son turns into a monster. Not the blonde-haired girl, that was her real son. He's probably 35 years old now. Okay, what was your thumbs up, thumbs down? What was your take on this movie? Thumbs up or thumbs down? I didn't ask you to be that direct. Okay. And what is your thought on the movie?
Mine?
Yeah.
For having the guts to put that monumental piece of shit on our otherwise perfect network. Yes. Let me be the first to tell you you're fired.
Okay. So briefly, Dennis, want to tell us about a new show you're having?
Yeah. My son Mike and I we together make this happen along with Al Burrows, and I had 2 shows on the network, and I took a little hiatus recently. And John Caravella, who was your guest earlier, invited me to a veterans group meeting today, and I was very, very impressed, and I thought I'd like to get back and do a series.
Okay.
And I think the series is going to focus on veterans and their experiences.
Oh, that's very good. Something to value.
Yeah, because we had a lady there from the Atlanta History Center today.
Yeah.
And they are funded through, I don't know how to get their funds, but they have to apply for their funds. Okay. But they don't have the money to do any more of these Atlanta history projects for this fiscal year.
Right.
I thought maybe we could fill in that gap.
Very good. Right. Excellent. So, very good.
I'm very veteran-oriented, and I think...
Go see Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah, I did.
That's a really good movie.
So I'm going to put something like that together in the very near future, and you can be the first to announce it.
Okay, very, very good. So,
I'm Dennis Aloia.
By the way, how'd you like my performance in the end with my wife and everything?
I thought you were very different.
Very good, good. Yes. My only last and first acting experience. I wasn't ever even a school play. So I
wonder why.
Well, thank you for tuning in to Hollywood South. Tune in another month when we don't know who will be on the show, but they will be here. Thank you.